Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Hey, beautiful folks, this is Freedom Fighter. Welcome to Saturday Night Dialogues. It is August the 23rd, 2025. Wow, this month is almost over already. We got a jam-packed call for you tonight. Let's get into it because we got some very, very important articles, some powerful articles I want to share with you tonight. So we don't want to belabor this moment. Father God, we always give you honor and glory. We thank you, always thank you. Without you, we would not be here. Without you, we wouldn't have life. We wouldn't have breath. We thank you for all the lessons, and we thank you for all the blessings. We thank you for all that you have done, all that you will do. And we thank you, Father, for all of the opportunities that so many people have been able to take advantage of this opportunity. We thank you for bringing them to the fold so that they can be able to learn and grow and make a difference in not only their lives and their families, but many, many people out there in the world that they wish to touch. We ask that you allow everyone to stay as pure as possible, stay grounded as much as possible, and stay grounded in your word and in your light as much as possible. We ask that everyone receives all of the information that we share tonight, that we have shared before, and that we will share going forward, and that it will spark something within just one person so that it may change their lives and those around them. In your precious name we pray. Amen. All right, folks, real quick, our announcements. Of course, Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room is open Monday through Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's where we share Goldilocks articles. People ask questions. We explain the articles to explain what's happening with the RV. That is also Ground Zero, Goldilocks QFS Dialogue Room, where we share the steps, the 8 steps, Wiley, myself, and the tribe, where we share the 8 steps that you hear many people that are sharing their success stories from the 8 steps and following. That is where we are able to do that. And we're just very fortunate and very blessed to have so many people that are following the steps, having success, and we're grateful and we're happy for them. Then we have Dee's Room. Dee's Room is where she drops articles as well. That's what's transpiring in the global financial system. And then we have the Crypto Finance Room with Dave, Rose, Big Dog. Anything related to crypto, folks, that is where we encourage you to go and ask your questions. Then we have Goldilocks Global Banking News, your daily podcast. Folks, let me tell you, and I say this with all humility, but also all honesty, Goldilocks is the only real source of information for the RV. Verifiable source, facts, receipts, anything and everything related to the RV. This is one of the reasons why we have so many members that have been able to establish these relationships with the bankers based on their intelligence of understanding what Goldilocks has been sharing and the golden nuggets every single day that Wiley drops in the room. So, folks, I don't say that from ego that Goldilocks is the only source. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, and we're very honored, very honored. The Goldilocks Global Banking News Daily Podcast. You want to make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, put your notifications on. Right now, we're at almost 1.8 million views on the podcast. Over 19,000 subscribers, over 80 countries where people are reached. And you, whoever you are listening to this, you are one of the very fortunate people to have found Goldilocks and get prepared for this blessing. Now, tonight, we are going to share invaluable information regarding the Fed that is releasing control of their grip on the banking system. Not totally and completely. I don't want to give that impression, but there is going to be some freedoms that we'll be able to enjoy that didn't exist before. And that's very important as you transition into the new banking system and you have your funds in the new banking system if you so choose. And also if you have cryptocurrency in the banking system. All right. How important it is that the control is being released, or has been, I should say. Then we have Vietnam, and their economic reforms are showing the indicators that it's very likely, highly likely of the Vietnamese dong that will begin to move in value, in rate. And we're going to show some of that information tonight. Of course, Goldilocks has been sharing that. We're going to show some more that has come out this week. And if you all notice, Goldilocks shares on a daily basis. Just think, information related to the global financial system. Goldilocks shares something new every single day. And then it might be on a particular country sometimes every single day or every other day, but it's consistently something new, not the same, and not the same every single day, because there are many moving parts to this event. If there was just one single thing to say every single week, it wouldn't make sense. It would for someone to say the same thing every week, the same information every week. It's not real information, because this is a complex event. It's easy for anyone to just say whatever they say consistently every single week, because there's no real information that they're providing. Goldilocks provides something new and different every day. That's the breadth and the width of Goldilocks' reach with this event. Then we have Iraq that we're going to share tonight. Last but not least, on how the dinar, Iraq is doing certain things regarding their finance system, especially as of the 15th of August, that will absolutely make the Iraqi dinar stronger. All right. So now we have some amazing folks that are going to share their updates. And again, I want to say this. I do not say this with ego. It is truly an honor and a blessing to be able to see so many people share on a daily basis in the Goldilocks QFS Dialogue Room about their success, about their relationships that they're establishing with their bankers. Folks, these are relationships that will last generations, many generations. You hear about a lot of wealthy folks that you may hear in the news or in social media, whatever it may be. Name whatever wealthy person. Oftentimes, those who have wealth, it was on the shoulders of those who came before them and the relationships of those folks who came before them. Each and every one of you, there are family, friends, strangers that are going to stand on your shoulders in the next generations to come. Those relationships that you have with your bankers is where it's going to start. All right, folks. Tonight we have two amazing members that are going to share their updates. We have Kiki, then Main Mama. If Kiki's here, I'm going to come to Kiki first. If you're here, young lady, you can unmute, and then I think I saw Main Mama. Then we're going to come to you, Main Mama. Kiki. And then, of course, we have the amazing Peculiar Ram that's going to read the articles tonight. Who do I hear? Is that you, Kiki?
Can you hear me? It is I.
Did you? You just snuck in right behind me. I didn't even see you behind me walking in.
Yes. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Yes, thank you for being here. How long have you been a member of the room?
I would say I'm hitting a month. Probably next week will be a month. Yeah.
You a baby.
Yeah, for sure. So glad I found you guys, though. I'm so glad.
That's awesome. You're a baby in the room, and
yes.
you jumped out the blocks quick. You posted your update the other day, and I was like, "What?" And please share with us, if you can share, what did you do? I imagine you followed the steps.
The 8 steps, yes.
All right. Share with folks what you did as far as, you don't have to give all the details, of course, no bank names or anything like that, but you followed the steps, and then share us about these updates that you have with your bankers. I think did you have more than one meeting?
Yes, I've had 3.
That's what I thought. I knew. Yes. Within a month.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So you followed the 8 steps. Let's just cut through it. You followed the 8 steps. You did that. Boom. Now let's go to the first meeting that you had with the bank. Was it a private wealth manager or was that a tier 1?
It was a tier 1.
Okay.
And I remember the very first meeting. I met with this individual, and he was just so warm and welcoming. This was the individual I had actually wrote in the chat saying that he was a little late. And I remember you saying, "Oh, you had that, you got that princess, vibe."
Right. Yes.
I kind of laughed because I was like, you showed up a little late, didn't answer all my questions, so I was kind of feeling some type of way. But the conversation between the two of us was so genuine and authentic. It just really made me relax because he generally wanted to know about me. Nothing else about, where the funds were coming from. None of that. He just was like, you know what, I'm all about.
Oops, you muted yourself.
Okay.
There you go. All right. Okay, you muted yourself again. You must got your phone up to your chin, to your face.
I think I do. Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah, we can hear you now. That's all right.
All right. So the first thing he said was he was all about building relationships. So that was the first thing that was like, aha, like, okay. All right, I'm going to forget the few minutes that you were late.
Right.
But that sparked my whole okay, we're just going to have a conversation. We're just going to get to know each other. And that kind of really eased me in, to the conversation, because I was already a little nervous. But him saying that just eased me in. Good. And then he just kind of asked me about, what I did, what I like to do, questions about my family. And I did the same. And we kind of just went back and forth in conversation. And then we just kind of worked our way into my goals. So, he really just heard me out in regards to what I'm looking to do. Again, never asking where the money was coming from, because I was anticipating that, and then it was just pure conversation. And just, it just created a warm, inviting environment, which I loved.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
So, that was my first with the tier 1. Okay. And so I have to tell you, Freedom, I had to take a slice of humble pie. Okay. Because I had my number 2 meeting, right? And this was with a private wealth manager.
Okay.
And so we had a meeting. Well, I thought we had a meeting set for 3:00. Okay.
Okay.
So I had it in my calendar 3:00.
Uh-huh.
Well, the PM, the WM, they called me and they were like,
Uh-huh.
Kiki, are you joining us for our call? And I'm like, we're supposed to be at 3:00, right? And they're like, no, it was 2:00. And here it is 2:10. And I'm like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, and it brought me
what?
back to the first, right, wealth
Okay.
manager that I met with, because I'm like, here I am saying to him, saying like how he was late a few minutes, right?
Oh,
And here I
yes.
am
Here
late
you
the
are.
whole 10 minutes.
Right. Full circle.
Full circle, for sure. So I was like, okay, all right,
Uh-huh.
Kiki, you taking a slice of humble pie, So when Freedom said, things happen, life happens, and you got to give people some grace. I was like, thank God they gave me grace, because they didn't have to call me, right? It could have been
That's
like,
true.
hey, we were set for 2:00, you didn't show up, and we'll have to reschedule.
Right.
So it was definitely a slice of humble pie.
Mm-hmm.
Now I will say that the private wealth manager, this one, we started out with normal conversation. Again, it was just very pleasant, just really
Mm-hmm.
getting to know, why they got into, becoming a wealth manager.
Mm-hmm.
This particular one is actually from, another country. And so they were
Mm-hmm.
about giving back to, the country that they were in before they came to the US. So that's what really
Okay.
kind of sparked their
Okay.
interest in becoming a wealth manager. And so
Okay.
they did, lean to, when I started talking about my goals, how I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to get into real estate. So that kind of was like, okay, so where the, how are you going to do this? Where's the, the financing piece going to come in? It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like those probing questions,
Yes.
right? Trying to
Yes.
get to like,
Yes.
where's the money coming from for you to like, do all these
Right.
loans, right?
Right. Right.
And so as the conversation, kept going, they did kind of bring it back. Okay, let's stop here. So, do you have, what exactly do you have? And I just was like, okay, listen,
Mm-hmm.
my idea for this entire thing is, one, I want to build a relationship with someone, right? We are
Mm-hmm.
completely in the dating stages. I'm getting to know you, you're getting to know me, and
Yes.
before I
Yes.
spill any beans to you, I got to make sure I'm comfortable, and vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I did say, I have, some, money coming in. I'm not at liberty. I went through the whole spiel. I'm not at liberty to
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mm-hmm.
respected that. They kind of
Mm-hmm.
left it at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just kind of, asked me more questions in regards to my goals.
Right.
Never once did they go back to, where it's coming
Uh-huh.
from. But they
Uh-huh.
did say, in order for us to kind of plan, we kind of need
We
to know
need
the,
to know, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
we
Yep, that's
kind
what
of
they're
need to
supposed to
know where
say.
it's, how much, a roundabout. Can you give me an
Right.
estimate, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
no, unfortunately I can't. I
Uh-huh.
said, but I want to build a team so that way when it does come, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. There
Things
you
are in
go.
place,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we understand that. And so,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of asked me, questions about my family, how many children I had, if I was married. And they were like, well, what about your spouse? Is he into this? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I said, but, I'm the planner. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to seek out the information first. I'm going to meet, and then, we'll bring him in, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
they were like, oh, okay, that would be, we would love to meet him, So
Mm-hmm.
it was,
Mm-hmm.
it was just, like I said, it was genuine conversation.
Yeah.
And the second private wealth manager, they were like, well, we want to meet your husband. So that was like my segue. So I never wanted to have my husband on the phone with me for the first initials, because I felt like if I didn't have him on, then that's my segue to have a follow-up meeting with them.
Okay. Okay. I see.
So that's
I see
like
what
kind
you're
of my
mm-hmm.
thought process
I like that.
in the entire thing.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so they were like, we want to get to meet him. And I mean, the first tier one wealth manager, I was on the phone with him for maybe about 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The second private wealth manager, I was on the phone with them for like an hour and 45 minutes. So we really had genuine conversation. I felt like I knew them for a long time. Like that's just
Wow.
how the conversation just flowed.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, like I'm writing notes about them. I'm writing notes about their upcoming vacation. So that way I can follow up to say, how was it? You know, all
Smart.
of these different things, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, so, you know, how did you find us? And I was like, well, I was looking on, you know, this. And I looked you up on the FIRNA, you know, and I saw your background. I see you don't have any disclosures, you know, and this was for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so they were like, oh, wow. So you were doing some research. I'm like, absolutely. You know, I got to know who I'm working with here. You know? I got to know who I'm dealing with, right?
Right.
And so I also, you know, previously I didn't mention, but I did send them the questions beforehand. So they loved that I was prepared.
Wiley's
like,
questions.
Oh, yes, absolutely. They were like, you asked some great questions. We love that. It just shows that, you know, this is something that you really are, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Serious, you know, informed, serious, you know, and you know, you're looking for what's next, right? And you're looking for who's best suit for you and your family. And I'm like, absolutely. And so I did have a follow-up meeting with the number 2 private wealth manager, and this time it was with
your husband.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And so they absolutely loved him, as they said that they loved me as well. They just enjoyed the conversation, and they loved him as well. You know, because we kind of got on the side of, you know, him being an educator, and that's kind of what we want out of our wealth managers, right? We want them to educate us along the way, because we don't want to just invest in certain, you know, tools without knowing. Like we want to know. And I remember Tam talking, you know, last week, saying that she's a forever student. I said the same thing to them. Like, I consider myself a forever student. And I want to know the ins and outs of the markets. You know, I mean, you won't be able to tell me everything, obviously, but I want to learn as we go along. I don't want to just say, here's my money, you know, do what you want kind of thing. No, I want to learn the process. I want to know why we're doing this, you know? And so that was something, that was something that they said that they're big on, because they were like, there's some people that are just like, here's the money, you know, invest it. But then there's other people that are like, you know what, take us along the way. And they like, you know, dealing with people that are like, take us along the way, you know? So that was great. And, you know, even the conversation with my husband, we were on the phone, this was a video call. So we were on video call with them for like an hour and a half. So I had an hour and 45 minutes by myself, my husband and I, an hour and a half with them. And it was 2 people that we were speaking to for the second. And then finally for my third, which was just this past Thursday. And, you know, my meetings have been on Thursdays, Freedom. So I've been like itching and waiting, right?
Because he said the room is closed now on Thursdays. I can't tell nobody.
I can't tell anybody what's happening, what's going on. But we had my third meeting. And another private wealth manager, and another duo. This one was a father and son duo.
Okay.
So, which was nice, because I'm like, okay, family dynamic. I like that, you know. And so they were like, well, one of the questions they asked, they said, well, how many, you know, wealth managers are you interviewing? And I said, hello. Interested in that, huh? You know, they're like, yeah, we got to see if we're like, you know, living up to what you're looking for, you know.
They want to see where they at in the competition.
Exactly. So I said, well, you're my third, right? I said, they said, well, how many more are you thinking? I said, probably about 2 more or so. I said, I don't think I can go past 5. You know, I'm trying to keep notes on you guys, and I don't want my mental capacity to go too far. You know, I want to be able to connect back with you, you know, kind of thing. They're like, oh, well, you have 5. Okay, 5. They was like, actually, you can probably stop with us. Like the third, you know, private wealth manager, they were really, really
aggressive.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, they were really, really aggressive. But I kind of like that because,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like, okay, they want, you know what I mean? You could tell
Mm-hmm.
that they generally want like, hey, like we're here. Like we
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
the father has like 42 years of experience. Like he's
Wow.
been in the game for a long time. He's been on Wall Street, so he has
Mm-hmm.
a lot of background.
Okay.
And so that intrigued me as well because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you really are familiar with the markets,
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so they were like, you can just stop here. But they were ones that they kept trying to press. Like, we need
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
know a roundabout as far
I
as like
bet.
the money so we can give you a plan, And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
I can't give you that, I want to, but I can't,
Right.
But they, after a while, they kind of eased up, and I just kind of asked them like, why they got into wealth management, and
Mm-hmm.
why the father and son duo,
Mm-hmm.
and they started out, the dad was saying that he was actually in the financial business with his father, so
Ah.
it's like it's been generations, so I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that they have that family dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I was like, I asked the question, so how often, would I be able to get in contact with you? Like,
Uh-huh.
that's a main thing. If we're
Yeah.
building this relationship and if
Mm-hmm.
we decide to work with one another, like how often? They were like, well, Kiki, I reached out to you while I was on vacation. So that right there should give you
Oh.
like hey, we're
Wow.
interested. Like you can reach
Right.
us at any time. So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, all right, that's true. You
Uh-huh.
did reach out to me on vacation. You did send me emails while you were on vacation. I got it.
Mm.
All right.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, yes. So, and what I liked about all three was that their main thing was relationship building.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's something that, you guys have talked about
Mm-hmm.
in the group, and that's something that I want for my husband and I, and, for our children, is
Mm-hmm.
the relationship, because I'm like, we're going to be handing something over to you that's very
Right.
valuable, right? And
Right.
we have to feel like we trust you, that
Mm-hmm.
you are going to have our best interests at heart. So I
Right.
love the fact that they are all about, hey, I want to get to know you. I want to get
Mm-hmm.
to know your likes and your dislikes, and your
They want a
goals and the
relationship.
things. Yeah, they want a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, all three.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh man, so I'm trying to like write down pros and cons, of which one. Is there anything
Right.
that, that I'm not too keen on? But so
Right.
far, it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been that way. I actually have a follow-up
Good.
with the private wealth manager number 3 this
Uh-huh.
coming Thursday, again with my husband, because they're
Okay.
like, we want to meet your husband, so
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it's
Yes.
definitely been follow-ups. They've all
Mm-hmm.
have said, send me any questions that you have. You can
Mm-hmm.
text us, you can email us, we'll get back to you. So I love that
Nice.
availability.
Nice. Yes.
And I'm just like, do I keep going? Yes, Kira, you got to keep going. You got to hit the 5. You got to hit the 5.
You're an overachiever, so you got to go. You got to do it.
I got to do it. I have to do it. But I just have to say that this experience has truly been mind blowing because of the fact that at one point I never saw myself being in this position, right? I never saw myself speaking to a wealth manager, let alone 3 right now.
Right.
So,
and soon to be 5.
Soon to be 5. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going along for the ride. I'm enjoying the ride, and I'm enjoying the experience. I've even asked them like, hey, do you have any podcasts or books, that you would suggest that I listen to, you know what I mean? To keep myself abreast of what's going on, what's happening. So, they've just been very open, very kind. I know they're itching and chomping at the bit because they still want to know, but they after I gave them the spiel, it was kind of like, all right, let's just continue this relationship building. And that has been, so pleasurable thus far.
See now, and by you it was textbook the way that you handled this. But being that you are a student, like you said, similar to Tam Tam, and many members, you didn't have to know everything. You just knew enough.
Yes.
So that when you went in there, you were able to have a conversation. And the most of the conversation was around your goals and just building the relationship. And
Absolutely.
that's the key. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Wiley. I see Wiley's here. Just so that you know and everyone else knows why they wanted to have your husband. In the industry, there is what they call a one-legger. So meaning, folks, we have two legs. So if you have you have a husband and a wife, that's two legs. If there's just one person, they consider that what's called a one-legger. So that means that if you are just there, not your husband might be the decision maker. They want a relationship with whoever the second leg is as well in these relationships. But I like your strategy of going at it with just alone first, because you were using a potential second and third date to bring your hubby along.
Yeah.
So you were just prolonging the relationship, prolonging the process, which was very, very smart on your part. That was very, very smart. Wild, you want to jump in here? Are you available?
Hey, good evening, Freedom. Good evening, Kiki.
Good evening.
Way to go, girl. I'm telling you, for just being in our room for just 30 days, I agree with Freedom Fighter. You are textbook of how to go handle this. You wanted it bad enough, and you knew, I want to do this for myself. I want to know nothing is impossible when you truly want to achieve it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned so much, and I just appreciate everything you guys do. Your wealth of knowledge is just, it's mind-blowing. And, it is amazing that, you have decided to offer this for free. There's so many people that want to charge for this information, or it's just, like you say, giving the guru foo-foo, right? But you guys are giving in-depth, like foolhardy meat information. And I just can't be, I'm just so ecstatic and blessed that, God brought me to this group, because I was lost. Truly, I was lost. I was like, okay, I'm investing in this thing. Now what? And I just happened to come across, your YouTube video, and it was like, I have to join. I have to join. And it has been a great sailing ride ever since.
Beautiful.
The reason we do it, Kiki, is not because we have the time or we're paid or anybody's giving us anything on the back end. There's nothing. We give it of our own free volitions to help people. But we help because there is so much bad information out there that we see a lot of people being led down a bad road with such misleading statements, diatribe, and just flat out falsehoods. That this isn't even that. This is just simply a Forex investment, and Forexes are regulated. There is a certain guideline around these things, and so many people got people wrapped around axles of things that just won't happen. So the best thing we can do is to give you the facts, help you understand what it is you're in, and guide you as how to get an approach to build a relationship so that you have people for the long term when we disappear. Now you have a team around you that can be your guardrail and help you succeed and not make the big pitfall mistakes that so many will make without guidance.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing, Kiki, to piggyback off what Wiley was saying, and I don't say this publicly. I don't think I've ever said it. Maybe once, I don't know. Slitham said it, but what you're getting from Goldilocks, Wiley, and myself is truly inside information. What you all are getting. So this free information, Wiley, he lives and he has lived this life and this experience in the finance world for many years. Goldilocks, many years. Myself, years ago. So the information that we share, that you've been able to take and utilize, the information from Wiley and his golden nuggets, myself in the room, and then, of course, Goldilocks, real daily information. Combine all that, you probably didn't realize how much you knew or how much you were prepared until you went in there. and had those conversations. And all of this that we share every single day, most of it is inside because of the experience that Wiley's had, experience I had. And Goldilocks provides inside information, but public information for people to be able to vet. So when you combine all of that and it's given for free, you expressed your appreciation for us. We appreciate you just taking advantage of it for you and your family. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
guys
keep
are,
growing,
are,
Kiki.
are are awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. We're just doing God's work and
Yes.
trying to be a blessing.
Yes.
Well, it was truly
truly.
Goldilocks that brought all of us together to help you all. I was
That's right.
just happy being on the sidelines. He come
Mm-hmm.
forward and, he'd already pulled Freedom in to come do this room. And then they started reaching out to me because the folks that Goldilocks talks to saw the need and saw what wasn't being provided and asked
Right.
us if we could fill a void.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yep.
See? Steps are ordered, right?
That's right.
Amazing.
Order thy steps in his word.
Yes.
Here we are.
That's right. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, beloved. Yes, ma'am. And keep us posted. I know you won't be able to share your other update until the following week. I know you're having it on Thursday, but we look forward to it.
Hey, Kiki, once you pick one of these people that you're going to go with,
Yeah.
kind of keep the other people in your back pocket. You might be surprised if some of the proceeds you might be able to trickle over to them and see what they can do for you and build a rapport with them and not completely write them off.
I thought about
So
that. I was
what I'm
like, I
saying is
don't want to.
diversity.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want. At least I would like to keep two. I may not have
Yeah,
three,
figure out what
but I
they can
would
do
love.
for you and then
Yeah,
grow.
for sure.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful.
Hey, I have several. I have several here in the States. I have several abroad. I use all of them because they all can do different things that not all one guy can do or gal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Got
stay
it.
flexible.
Will
There you
do.
go.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, beloved. You got it.
Congratulations, Kiki.
All right. Thank you. Maine Mama with the name change. Maine Mama. You can come to the mic, unmute, please, young lady. If you are able to, you can do it. You can do it, Maine Mama, unmute. I know sometimes it's a little tricky when it's the first time doing this, but you.
Yeah, Freedom, I've been looking forward to her
Okay.
conversation.
Oh, Maine Mama.
I think I'm here.
Okay, yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah, Wiley, you were referring to May Mama or Kiki?
No, Main Mama. I've been
Oh,
looking
May
forward
Mama.
to this one. We've had her on the books for 2-3 weeks or more.
Right.
I loved her scenario that she went out and talked about this, and she goes, "I didn't know I couldn't breathe until I did this, and I realized I can now breathe."
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly how it felt.
Go on and share it, beloved. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I didn't put in my post was that I was in Guru Land and I was paying a monthly subscription to hear special
What?
videos that you could only hear for the subscription. And
What?
I paid extra money for these pre-RV questions and things.
You said pre-RV questions?
Yes.
You had to pay. So you were paying for access to some alleged exclusive access to. How much were you paying a month?
Like 25, I think.
And then you had to pay extra for some pre-RV questions.
Yes.
How much was that?
So, maybe 25.
Okay.
I don't remember. I have to go back and look.
No. I'm just curious because just curious.
Yeah.
What were they asking?
The questions, it was telling you to ask them if they exchange foreign currency at this location and can you verify it in my presence and things like that. It was some basic stuff and a little narrative written that seemed to make sense at the time with the limited knowledge that I had.
Yeah.
But
So
then it also was one of those where it was, okay, it's going to be next weekend because it's a 3-day weekend and it's going to start
Jesus.
here because of their holiday there. And after
Jesus.
after a few months of that, I was like, I'm going to have an ulcer.
Well, the 20-year scenario, the
Well,
president's
yeah.
got to be out of
Oh,
country, has to happen on a 3-day weekend. Oh,
yes,
it's going to happen because they want Black Friday to be beneficial for all the markets and the businesses, and I mean, you can go on and on with the things that have been
it
flung
was.
at the wall.
And
Yeah,
Wiley, I think
Yeah.
you've been hearing that same scenario 3-day weekend crap for probably 15, 20 years.
22 years plus.
22. So just imagine, man, mama. Wiley has been here.
No,
It's been out there for 22 plus years. You didn't know. You paid for it. You didn't
right.
know. But that's okay. But you're here now. Go ahead. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in February, probably about the first of the year, I like quit following all the other things and started focusing more in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And in February, I met with my tier one bank where we already have accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the person I met with was actually the vice president of investments. I,
Mm-hmm.
you know, skipped a couple levels there. But
Right.
when I met with him, I emailed the questions ahead of time and he
Mm-hmm.
um,
Wiley's questions,
answered
right?
back. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I met with him, he was just very stiff and formal, and he really wanted to know where the money was coming from. And I mean, he could look at my account and he could tell I obviously did not have thousands in the bank with him, or
Mm-hmm.
millions or billions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he he said, well, we are going to have to know where this money comes from before we can do anything. And I said, I understand that. And he showed me on the screen like what it would look like. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, once I started this process. And I really left there with the feeling like, okay, well, at least I did it. I made it through.
Mm-hmm.
I did what I was supposed to do, but it
Right.
was just so anticlimactic. It was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
word the word I used for him literally was, okay, he's adequate. Um, he would, he could get the job done. He can handle the exchange, but I just I mean, I surprised him when I told him that I had looked him up on FINRA, and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but he just still didn't seem to. There was no connection there. I've emailed
Gotcha.
him since just to
Mm-hmm.
follow up, and he never
Mm-hmm.
responded again.
Okay.
So
That tells you right there who you're dealing with and what
yes,
you're dealing with. Uh-huh. So
right.
now then so
So
then you move so then you moved on to someone else.
right, but it took me a minute. I had to think through this process. That was the end of
Mm-hmm.
February. The 1st of
Mm-hmm.
April, I interviewed a private company that's in the same county that I'm in,
Okay.
and he's done investing for my in-laws for
Okay.
40 plus years. Um,
Uh-huh.
and so we have had contact with him, but I've never met him in person.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just delightful. I mean, he really was very personable and just so
Mm-hmm.
different than the adequate guy. And he just took his time and explained things to me. And I told him, that I'd looked him up on FINRA, and that
Yeah.
like pleasantly surprised him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he found out that, I'm self-employed. I've owned my own business for years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I already, know some things about the business world.
Mm-hmm.
And so he really like just there were no walls between us. He just
Mm-hmm.
literally just talked and shared and asked questions. And,
Mm-hmm.
I asked him at the end, if you were given $1 million to invest, any way you wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
how would you invest? And he actually stopped and like had to think about it a minute and said, well, wow, I've never actually been asked that question that way before. Let me think. And then he did, and it was fine. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't awkward at all with him. I felt completely
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And my husband's even said that, more than likely we will invest some with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's local, he's really close by. We absolutely, um, he's got such a good reputation, and he has a proven track record just with
Mm-hmm.
my in-laws.
Right.
Um, and he was easy. His staff is very good and friendly, and they
Mm-hmm.
followed up anytime we've had to say, well, we need this emailed here or different things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
they've been very, very efficient and helpful.
Okay.
So that was good. it was really good. And I was really kind of ready to just say, okay, that's good enough. I've done two. I can be
Uh-huh.
done now. And
Uh-huh.
I'm friends with Alice and her
Uh-huh.
parents.
Oh,
And
okay. Okay.
she kept saying, you really need to just interview someone else just so you'll have a
Hmm.
more well-rounded experience. And I
Right.
kept saying, I think we're okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so we'd
Hmm.
talk again and she'd say, have you thought about it? And I'm like, yeah. So I finally did. In
Uh-huh.
August, I filled out one of the forms online for one of these top brokerages, I guess you call them.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
recommended, I think, in Wiley's room.
Okay.
And they had just like an appointment setter person who's been with
Okay.
them 20 years because I
Hmm.
looked his name up on FINRA because I'm like, what the heck? Um, but that's his job. He tries to
Uh,
match up people with a wealth
with the
manager
wealth manager.
and
Yeah.
get good fits.
Yeah.
So where I live, I could have gone to two different locations that were almost to the miles, the same distance apart from my house, just different
Gotcha.
directions.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so he he emailed me back and said, "Can I set up a phone call to talk to you? I just want to ask you a few questions." And I thought, "Oh Lord." And so we set up the phone call, and he was very, very nice and not
Hmm.
pushy or anything. And he
Hmm.
just kind of asked a little bit more about what I was looking for.
Hmm.
Um, and then he said, "Well, I think this person would be a great fit.
Hmm.
Um,
So he
let me
referred
put you in
someone to you.
contact with him." Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so he emailed that advisor and me, copied me.
Okay. Copied you. Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
so then that wealth manager messaged me and said, "Hi, I'm just reaching out, touching base with you." And he said, "I'd like to set up a Teams meeting. It was like a Zoom call with you."
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and talked about, is this a good time? And it sent me some links to articles on their website. Well, I'd already been looking at their website because I really
Okay.
didn't understand their different titles, like who
Uh-huh.
was what.
Yeah.
Um, and there was so much information on their website, like
Hmm.
articles that they, put up all the time.
Hmm.
And so I was really impressed that there was, that much you could just go sit and read for days.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so we set up the Zoom call and I emailed him the questions. And this all happened like, I don't know, within a week maybe from the very first call to when I
Ah. Okay.
got it. So he got my
Okay.
questions and emailed me. I think he got my questions like on Friday and emailed me on Monday morning and said, "Hey, I love your questions. These are great.
Hmm.
I
These are
can't wait to
Wiley's
go
questions,
over
right?
with you." Yes.
Hmm.
And so I can't wait to go over 'em with you this afternoon. And
Uh-huh.
so
Okay.
I had a little bit of trouble setting up the teams. We just couldn't get everything to connect, and the
Yeah.
password wouldn't work. And he
Hmm.
called me, and we got everything connected. And so we were able to see each other and talk, which I
Okay.
felt was so much better than just talking over the phone.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and so he told me a little bit about the company in general and said,
Hmm.
I understand that you're interviewing wealth managers. And I said, yes. And he said, okay. Um, well, you know, this is a brief synopsis of what we can provide for you.
Hmm.
Um, and so we talked for a few minutes, and then he said, now, do you have anything else you want to ask up front, or do you want to just go into the questions that you emailed me? And I said, well, I said, I already had been looking at your website, and, that was great, and I've seen, quite a bit. Just go ahead and start with the questions. He's like,
Hmm.
okay. And so again, he was never like rushed or in a hurry, never cut me off. Um,
Hmm.
he just talked and explained things and was relaxed but professional, but just very
Hmm.
comfortable
Hmm.
covering all this territory with someone that I hadn't even given him a dollar.
Right.
So um,
So you got more
we just,
information out of him. You got more information out of him and Wiley, Goldilocks, and myself for free than anyone that you paid.
oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
go ahead. I just couldn't help it. Go ahead.
Um, but he was just so informative. He said, well, can I ask if you're a believer? And I said, yes, I am. He said, okay.
Okay.
He said, that's one of the things that helps us structure some of these things you're talking about that you want to do. And
Mm,
I'd given him a
very
list
nice.
of things that we wanted to cover, and tax strategies and estate planning being two big things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I told him up front, I said, wealth will be new to us. My
Mm-hmm.
husband and I have worked hard since we were teenagers. And I said, we
Yeah.
don't want our children to have the struggles and
Mm-hmm.
challenges that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I said, I don't want trust fund brats, but I do want them to not get stuck in survival mode.
Right.
And I told him that their education with the finance and the money um, was as important to me as my education.
Right.
And he said, that's great. He said, we talked about the family office a little bit. He said, we have
Mm-hmm.
families that, you know, bring their kids to every meeting. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, we're completely fine with that. He
Mm-hmm.
said, we
Mm-hmm.
will teach them everything and,
Mm.
see what they can do.
Beautiful.
And I had looked on FINRA on him, and it looked
Okay.
really weird. I had even called Alice, and I'm like, call me when you get a minute. And I said, this is kind of strange because it looks like he's only been with this company 3 years. And she said, that
Uh-huh.
is weird. And so we
Uh-huh.
went kind of back and forth. We looked him up on another thing, and it showed some other employment or something. And so when I got to the question, when he got to the question, tell me something that's not on your resume, he told
Okay.
me that he had grown up working, he'd grown up around his dad doing the same wealth management job, that
Oh,
he owned his own company. And so
okay.
he went to college, worked for dad. Then when dad got ready to retire, he bought the business from dad
Mm-hmm.
and had it for a few years, and then decided to close down the business and go
Mm-hmm.
with this company that
This
he's with
company.
now.
Right. Gotcha.
Um,
So that
and
filled that
that
gap for you right
really,
there.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So I told him, I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, that makes me feel a lot better that you're
Mm-hmm.
saying that,
Mm-hmm.
because I looked you up on FINRA and it looked like you'd only been there 3 years. And he said, oh, yeah, that's not what, no. He said, I've been doing this a
Mm-hmm.
lot longer than 3 years. He said, in
Mm-hmm.
fact, I still have clients that started with my dad before I was
From his
born. And he said, I
okay.
still handle
Yeah.
their
Their
investments and their
portfolios.
retirement. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so he told me about his wife and his kids. He
Mm-hmm.
told me that he likes to hunt. And I said, well, that's good to hear. So you're not going to freak out every time we buy more guns and need to put in our trucks. He started laughing. He says, no. Um, and then he started talking about guns a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really neat because
Yeah.
he explained so much, and I was so proud of me for recognizing so
Yeah.
many of the terms that he used,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
not being totally lost in the conversation. And that's because
Right.
of reading this room and Wiley's room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he answered everything. He elaborated. He gave me examples, and then
Mm-hmm.
I really kind of thought, okay, well, we're probably done talking now. He's like, okay, well, let's do this, and he changed the screen to where I could see his laptop, and then he showed me examples of different
Mm-hmm.
investments and outcomes, and he
Mm-hmm.
explained to me what we'd be looking at,
Mm-hmm.
if we invested with them, that we would
Mm-hmm.
have this here, and it would show this, and it would, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just he broke everything down and
Mm-hmm.
made it seem so simple because this is still really such a daunting thing,
Right.
knowing that I'm going to take these steps forward, and I've talked about them, but it is
Yeah.
a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But he did end up at the end. He told me, I asked him, I said, well, how much contact do you have with your clients? What's your preferred method of communication? And he said, you've got my cell phone, my office number, my email. He said, you can call or text me at any time. He said,
Mm-hmm.
the only time I'm not going to offer, he said, you'll never get an answer machine. He said, the only time I won't answer is if I'm on a call with another client. And he said, I've got two
Mm-hmm.
secretaries. He told me both their names. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, they will talk to you and they will take down your information, and I will get back to you as soon as I'm off that call. He said, you're not going to be handed off to some press one for this, press two for this.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you're going to be personally taken care of and followed up
Mm-hmm.
with every single time. He said, I have
Mm-hmm.
clients call me from the car dealership and say, should I buy this or lease this?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what's the rate? What's this? And, he compares the tax
Yeah.
strategies and
Yeah.
the interest and all of that and tells them what the best decision is for their situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've emailed him since the Zoom call, and
Uh-huh.
he answered back, and I already responded to that email. And
Gotcha.
again, he is just on top of his stuff and at the
Mm-hmm.
same time so personable.
Yeah.
Maybe,
This it sounds like you've began to establish such a great relationship with him, and thankfully our amazing Alice. I didn't know that you were Alice's friend, and she has an
yes.
amazing story. I'm so glad she was able to encourage you to do that. Let's get Wiley in here. And Wiley, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, Main Mama, way to go. Biggest
Thank
thing for you,
you.
do you realize how far ahead of the curve you are? I know you were paying for information, but you started listening to what we're doing. And when you started approaching these people, you
Mm-hmm.
understood all the language and the verbiage they're tossing at you. That is a huge win that I don't think people understand. That those
Yes.
small wins like that, that you're understanding the conversations back and forth and the information being portrayed with those bigger terms, you're so
Yes.
much further ahead than 90% of this
Mm-hmm.
community.
That's what
Yes.
Alice keeps telling me too, but it really
Mm-hmm.
was great for me to realize that for myself, that I wasn't lost in the conversation. He wasn't talking over my head,
Mm-hmm.
and that I could, anything he mentioned, even if I didn't know exactly what it was, I remembered, okay, I read about that, and it has to
Mm-hmm.
do with this or whatever. And it was so, um, I don't know, built my confidence up so much because I just
Mm-hmm.
felt like I can do this. It's not
Mm-hmm.
unattainable. This is me doing it.
And not only that, but you being able to understand those and have that conversation with him was a fresher breath there for him, saying,
That's right.
somebody who's done some
Yes.
homework, somebody that
Mm-hmm.
has a mediocre of knowledge of what it is I do and an understanding of the terms and how we need to approach this and discuss it and talk
Mm-hmm.
about building wealth together.
Right.
Otherwise, he never would have flipped his screen around and started showing you this is
Mm-hmm.
what we can do. Here's if
Oh,
we had this to do this. They don't do that.
Mm-mm.
They got to have a comfort
Mm-hmm.
level to do that.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
You've
I love
impressed him.
that. Yeah. I love that everything they can offer everything in-house except an attorney. And he said if we have one we want to use, that's absolutely perfect, that he'll basically sit down with us, have everything written up and in order, and we can take it to our attorney and say, this is what we need done. We'll have the whole plan to take with us. There won't be any going and saying, oh, well, I was told to get this and this. We'll have it all in order and hand it straight to an attorney. If we don't have someone specific we want to use, then, excuse me, he said he has multiple people that he can refer us to.
Refer. Mm-hmm.
And he is a good hour drive from us. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not counting traffic probably, but he said that he will come this way and he can meet at our house. We can go to dinner. He said most of his conversations happen around the dinner table, that he's very
Mm-hmm.
family oriented, and he already has this record of establishing these relationships with his clients because of building through his dad. So
Yeah.
that's not, that's comforting. That's comfortable for him, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, when you
Um,
get off the phone tonight, off this call, you need to put him in your phone on your speed dial and just label it Sizzler because he's a one-stop buffet of everything you need.
right?
There you go. That's awesome.
That's great.
So just imagine if can you describe between 4 months ago to now? What's the biggest difference between back then when you were paying for guru fufu and having nothing but just garbage? What's the difference between that experience and now?
I, in the beginning, I was just starting to get stressed all the time, and I didn't want to tell my husband an update after like the first 2 or 3 or 4 times I heard it's going to be next weekend. Because he was starting to look at me like I've lost my mind. And now I just feel so much more at peace and relaxed with this whole process, with everything happening. I love that I can stay up to date with legitimate articles and know what's going on and feel like I can still like feel the pulse of things, but I don't have that anxiety waiting for, oh, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen?
Well,
So
now
it's
you have
so
a
much better.
true industry insider. 3 of them. One you're not going to talk to because he was just adequate. But the other 2 are truly insiders that you can go ask them a question to, who will legitimately give you the honest answer, because that's what they
Right.
do. But let me ask you a
Right.
hypothetical, because Freedom gets the hypotheticals every week. If gurus were so
Okay.
well connected with inside sources and people in the know and high level wherever they are, how do they get it wrong for 22 years plus? Every
Oh
week,
yeah.
every year, every weekend.
I don't know. My husband has a friend that has some foreign currency, and I can't even get him to follow your channel because he got so burnt out years ago with the
Yeah.
gurus telling him it's this weekend, it's this weekend.
There's so many people like that.
So
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
people have so much anxiety over this. I know people that have completely left it, just cashed it in
Oh
and
yeah.
walked.
I believe it.
And Wiley's question was rhetorical, just so that you and everyone else knows. He
Yeah, it was
knows
rhetorical, folks. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It
We
is. It's
know.
night and day difference though. And even just the 3 different interviews I had with 3 different people, I
Mhm.
really did not expect the results to be that different and the way I felt to be that different. And
So
they were. Each one was so completely unique.
Mhm.
And I'm glad I didn't stop after 2.
yeah, I'm glad you didn't either, because you needed to have all 3 of those to really give you a good sense of where you truly are as an individual
Mhm.
and understanding your investment and what
Mhm.
these people are offering and the types of personalities involved on the other side.
Yes, definitely.
But let me ask you real quick,
Okay.
for the information you were paying for versus the
hmm
cost of our information, what's the difference between the two, and what would you rather have?
Oh, well, I would definitely rather have the true information, no matter what. I mean, hands down, I'd rather have just the facts and the not anxiety and just no.
And we've charged you how much for the education we've given you and the know-how to go get these people working for you? How much did that cost
Yep,
you again?
$0.
And
When
how
I
much
have
did it
time, I
co-
go through the room and read and read and read and read.
and how much did it cost you to do business and go conduct interviews with these wealth managers?
Oh, nothing.
See
Absolutely.
there? See there?
How many of you asked how many of them had you sign an NDA prior to talking about all this stuff with them?
None.
Exactly.
People don't realize, Wiley, that they're just following all this weekly guru foo-foo is following a psyop. That's all it is.
Well, they
Right.
throw stuff out to make people do busy work to go fill out trusts they don't need, that won't be
Mm-hmm.
compliant when they get inside these banks or these wealth management companies, because they're going to want it done a certain way. So they have non-compliant trusts they spent money on top of going and building binders of all this. And here's a list of questions to go ask that are non sequiturs and any of this information pertinent to what they're going to do.
Right.
So it's just busy work they have people doing
Right.
because they know so
Mm-hmm.
many people are getting burnt out and others are wrapped around
Mm-hmm.
the axle. "Oh, I've been on the roller coaster. Oh, it's another weekend. The can got kicked." They're running out of
Mm-hmm.
a mantra to tell people, and people are just
Mm-hmm.
starting to leave them in droves, and their monetary benefits are leaving.
Right. And that, when you said something to make me think about this, Wiley, and folks listening, if what people are hearing every weekend, the same stories over and over and over again, if these people were telling you the truth, they wouldn't have to charge you, because they would be trillionaires, like they're telling you you're going to be trillionaires. They're
Right.
just waiting.
Absolutely.
So why they're charging you if the information they're providing is real and it's true? It's not. Their hustle is the subscriptions and all this. I don't want to go into that, but it is what it is. But you're here now. You're all set. Are you going to be interviewing any more wealth managers?
At this point, I think we are good with these the second and the
Two.
third. The
Yeah,
third will
second and the third.
probably handle most everything, and I think we
Hmm.
probably will use the second one on some level.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
But
okay. You
yeah,
can say his name. His name's Sizzler. You can say it.
yes, Sizzler. I'm gonna keep Sizzler on speed dial.
Absolutely, you better.
You gonna put him in your phone like Wiley said, Sizzler, and your phone will be down, and it's gonna ring. It's gonna be say Sizzler. Your husband will be like, woman, who's Sizzler?
Right.
But
I'm gonna tell him that's our
congratulations.
future.
Yeah, there you go. Our future boo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah, when the first guy comes back to you, you tell him it's not me, it's him.
Right.
Because you don't need him. You've already
Right.
got Sizzler and this other guy as a backup. You are more than set. Keep
Yes.
growing with these people. Keep doing you. Keep coming to the room with your questions. We'll assist how we can. But you have your two sources. It sounds like you've made a good rapport with them. Keep building, keep growing, keep sending questions to them, and just keep that door open until you have a comfort level that you can probably broach the topic of what it truly is you have in your investment hands.
And
Yep.
yeah, I'm glad you said that, Wiley, because me and Mama take advantage of the opportunity that he provided to in the future for dinners, lunch dates, face to face, coming to your location, whatever it may be, dinner table. That's when really, really, really could begin to open.
Good idea. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Did you have anything else you want to ask her, Wiley, or
Yeah, and
share?
don't let him take you to Sizzler. You make him take his Golden Corral to someplace a little nicer.
Right.
Or,
Yes. I do want to thank y'all for everything that you share in this room and just the consistency of the information and the relationships that y'all have built in this room, and the other people reaching back to help. And that just, I think, speaks
Yeah.
volumes about you and your intentions. And I thank you because I sit around and just read and read and read and read. I've always got my phone in my hand reading something. And my husband will say, "Are you on that phone again?" I said, "I'm making us smarter."
That's so awesome. So awesome.
know that we've only scratched the surface of a very large subject. That's why it's important for you to have these people in your lanes helping you, because they're the ones that know this industry and can help you succeed far faster than you going at this alone. They have the know-how, the contacts, and the licensing and registrations to make it happen.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. Congratulations, young lady, and thank you, Alice, for being such a beautiful, amazing leader and friend to Mayma. I'm not sure if Alice is on, but I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge Alice as well.
Freedom, I love that our members are reaching back to their friends and saying, hey, go do one more. It'll help you.
Yeah. Alice, I think I just saw you. Unmute real quick if you can, beloved. Then we're going to get into the article. I want to acknowledge Alice real quick, Wiley, if she can come on. There she is. Alice. Hello. Alice, can you?
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, young lady. You doing all right?
I'm doing great.
Thank you. You're such an amazing folks. This is the one and only Alice. She's set with her structures in place, her teams in place. And so thank you for being such a great leader, great friend to May Mama, and encouraging her to go out and get another wealth manager. Great on you.
I wouldn't have it any other way. She is such a beautiful soul.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've been Power Twins Activate behind the scenes together through a lot of this.
I'll tell you, Alice, we were doubting you for a bit, but you proved us wrong. You got your act together, and you buckled down, and you changed it, and you knew you were messing up. You started over, and I couldn't be prouder where you are now. Once you just really threw it all away and just started at square one and went and did this.
Yes, and it's really kind of ironic because Lori and I are a lot of ways, we're very similar, and then in other ways we're total opposites. Where I'm a little bit more bulldozer, and she's a little bit more laid back and really analyze everything.
Yeah.
And it kind of just works.
You
It just
complement each other.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's, like I said, she's just such a beautiful soul, and I couldn't be more proud of her.
Well,
That's
we
so
thank you
awesome.
for being a conduit for
Thank
what we
you.
do to help your friend.
Well, it's all because of you guys. It's just such an amazing trickle down effect for Goldilocks and Wiley and Freedom and just the entire tribe. And it's just an amazing thing that we're watching happen. And I'm so grateful to be part of it. I feel so incredibly blessed.
Yes.
And my husband and my dad are on here tonight too.
Oh, hey, hubby. Hey, pops.
It's becoming family affair everywhere. I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, thank you guys. I'll let you go
All
because
right.
I know you want to get to the article.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the articles. Thank you, ladies. And Wally, you want to share anything else? You good?
No, I'm just going to laugh if I ever meet any of these people and their wealth manager calls and they got it labeled under Sizzler.
Yeah, we're gonna have Sizzler. We're gonna have Blessed One and Lady Unique. They're gonna have Boo 1, Boo 2 on their phone, which is Wealth Manager, Boo 5, which is Wealth Manager number 5.
Yeah.
It's gonna be funny.
His ring wasn't big enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so funny. All right, folks, we're going to get into these articles jam-packed tonight. We're going to go through them, be a little patient. And folks, as always, this very, very first article, which was from April of last year, 2024, straight from the Trump administration. Everything you're going to hear tonight all comes from that. The beautiful, amazing, awesome, peculiar Rand. You ready to rock and roll, young lady?
I am ready.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. I just dropped the first one. Of course, you probably got this almost memorized by now, but it's in the room.
I kind of wrap it in my head. Now okay.
All right.
Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of a potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit, said one former Trump administration official, adding that Lighthizer and his team are the primary advocates for the approach. But weakening the dollar could have other far-reaching consequences, from sending consumer prices for imported products soaring to inviting retaliation from other countries and threatening the dollar's role as the world reserve currency, which would undermine U.S. sanctions on adversaries like Iran and Russia.
Boom. So, folks, currency revaluation is like to be a priority for some members of the potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit. This is all coming around tariffs. Tariffs is to offset the trade deficit. So, and it's good that and I think it was Brunette Grand and Glass Half Full and someone else that recommended we start every call off with this because it really trickles down from this all around trade. So now let's go, folks. Now we're going to get into the Federal Reserve. This is going to be brief on the Fed, but the Fed has officially, as of August the 15th, relinquished a certain level of power and oversight related to cryptocurrency in the banking system. And it is, folks, cryptocurrencies that will back, for example, XRP. In order for us to exchange our currencies in this new banking system, this new digital banking system, it's going to be done through XRP. So what you're about to read from the Fed, whereby the Fed, this is because of Trump's new policies, removing control from the Fed for certain things when it comes to crypto. So the Feds will not be able to have oversight or look into our bank accounts. If we have cryptocurrencies that's backing our paper currencies, we have cryptocurrencies that is in investment vehicles, they will have no oversight at all into any of that, which also will transition. That oversight that they will no longer have control will also transition over if you have cryptocurrencies in private wealth management firms through investments whereby your cryptocurrencies may be aligned with your paper currencies for future returns, so forth and so on. The Fed will have no oversight as of August the 15th. Young lady, you can start the U.S. Federal Reserve decision.
The U.S. Federal Reserve's decision to shutter its novel activities supervision program, launched in 2023, marks a significant shift in its approach to overseeing blockchain, distributed ledger technology, crypto assets, and related banking activities.
1 second, beloved. Pause right there. As it marks a significant shift in its approach to overseeing blockchain, distributed ledger technology. Folks, our exchanges will be done on blockchain, the new digital asset-based banking system, which is technically called the digital asset-based trading system, went live in all banks around the world as of July 1st under the Basel III endgame requirements, July the 1st, 2025. Officially, the blockchain. Excuse me. So we're witnessing the transition, more of the transition into the new digital banking system, and now some of the power and control that the Fed once held being relinquished. Go ahead, young lady.
The program was initially established to closely monitor banks engaging in these novel activities, including crypto custody, crypto-backed lending, stablecoin issuance, and complex tech-driven partnerships with non-banks due to perceived risk to the financial system. Its termination on August 15, 2025, reflects the Fed's confidence that it has gained sufficient understanding of these activities to integrate their oversight into standard supervisory processes, eliminating the need for specialized scrutiny.
Determination.
I'm going down 1 second. Okay.
Did you have any wine tonight?
No, I had a long day.
Okay.
Day at work, and then a football jamboree with my boys with over 20,000 people.
Wow.
So it's been a long day for me. So my apologies, you guys.
No, the wine is after the call. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's after the call. The termination of the program aligns with broader regulatory shift under the Trump administration, which has adopted a more crypto-friendly stance. Since January 2025, federal agencies like the FDIC, OCC, and SEC have relaxed restrictions, with the FDIC removing prior notification requirements and the SEC repealing rules like Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, which had imposed heavy accounting burdens on banks holding crypto assets. Posts on X also reflect industry sentiment, with users like Sin Lumis celebrating the move as progress toward a level playing field for crypto.
That's good. You're good. And folks,
I'm sorry.
1 second, beloved. No, you're good, folks. When you hear Peculiar Ram mention, let me go back. This is very, very. The OCC. She mentions since January 2025, the Fed agencies like the FDIC and the OCC and the SEC have relaxed restrictions, folks. The OCC, which is the federal agency, is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which is where our currencies are underneath. Okay, you good right there. Let's we're going to jump into folks to Vietnam and what it's in writing. The expectation of what's going to happen in September for their review. And I want to preface this and pay attention to this very closely because I want to make sure that everyone understands there is a unique distinction between when you hear and you see in writing Goldilocks sharing about referencing the Vietnam and their stock market potentially being upgraded by the FTSE Russell to an emerging market, that is separate, but very, very important and powerful, separate from the United States recognizing Vietnam as a market economy. So there's market economy status that Vietnam is actually, they have requested from the United States. So when you hear upgrade about market economy, and then let's put that to the left. Then when you hear emerging market, where Vietnam is potentially going to be upgraded to an emerging market, their stock market upgraded, that's to the right. So you have to the left where they can be upgraded to a market economy by the U.S. That's in discussions right now. To the right is the FTSE Russell, which is the international stock market, whereby investors from all over the world would, for the first time in the history of Vietnam's economy, these investors will be able to access Vietnam's robust stock market that they have kept closed to the world. If they are officially reclassified by the FTSE Russell, that means that now Vietnam's stock market will have global market access, no longer closed to the world and to only be accessible to just Vietnamese in businesses. So that's two separate. I want to make sure I'm very clear. You have a market economy, which it's on it. And if you were to, this is very true. If you were to look on the internet, search high and low, you will see that Vietnam, as of 2024, under the previous administration, Vietnam, when they requested to be upgraded to a market economy, and folks, market economy means the Vietnamese dong, the rate will be determined by market forces. If they are upgraded by the FTSE Russell, their stock market will be accessible for market forces to determine the value of the Vietnamese dong. Because these global financial institutions would for the first time have access to their stock market, which means, when I say that means that billions and billions and billions of dollars would be able to flood into the Vietnamese economy, which would correlate to the value of the Vietnamese dong having to move, because an influx of money, demand for the dong would go up. That is one. That's the FTSE Russell. If the United States recognizes them as a market economy, now, months down the line, whenever, that's more pressure on the Vietnamese dong to move up. There are multiple. This is why Goldilocks has stressed for years that when this happens, currencies will float. Mm-hmm. Wealth managers are already sharing that they see what's happening behind the scenes. They're sharing it with our members. But if you look on the internet, there's nowhere on the internet that's I shouldn't say nowhere. It's highly unlikely you will see that Vietnam has recently requested for the U.S. to recognize them as a market economy, specifically the United States Department of Commerce, because that's where it has to come from. The United States Department of Commerce, because it's through commerce, through trade, where it's done. But Goldilocks has in writing proof that Vietnam has recently officially requested, but there are certain requirements that they did not meet. Reason being why they were declined last year by the United States of being upgraded to a market economy. Well, they've met those requirements, and we're going to touch on them in a little bit. But now let's get to the emerging market first. Go, young lady.
The potential reclassification of Vietnam's stock market from a frontier to a secondary emerging market by FTSE Russell, with the review in September 25 and announcement on October 7th, 2025, could have significant implications for the valuation of Vietnam's currency, the Vietnamese dong. Below is an analysis of how this reclassification might affect the VND, based on economic principles, market dynamics, and available information.
I like what Goldilocks shared here. Below is an analysis. We're not going to read that, but the full analysis. But folks, when you're dealing with numbers and you're dealing with Forex, there are market dynamics. There's analysis. There's data. No different than you're dealing with the selling of a home, a car, any product, anything. There's data, analytics to support what a certain rate should be, a certain price should be of any sort. There is data and analytics, information that backs up that data, supportive analytics. For someone just to tell you, just a arbitrary number of a rate with no data, no supportive documentation or analytics, you should know there's nothing to back it up. It's just clickbait. And just like, unfortunately, Maine Mama and many people out there paying for information that's just not true.
Yep.
Okay. So when Goldilocks mentions market dynamics, economic principles, what Goldilocks is sharing of what's happening in Vietnam and any other country, what Goldilocks provides the data and analytics to back up and support anything that's being shared. So I just want to preface that. Number one, if you don't mind, increased foreign investment.
Increased foreign investment and capital inflows. Impact on VND. An upgrade to secondary emerging market status is expected to attract substantial foreign capital inflows into Vietnam's stock market. Estimates suggest inflows of up to $1.7 billion from ETFs alone, with potentially larger amounts from active funds. Additionally, a World Bank expert estimated that Vietnam could attract $25 billion by 2030 if upgraded by both FTSE Russell and MSCI.
If you want, beloved, I can continue. You can rest. I can continue from here.
Are you sure? I'm so
Absolutely.
sorry.
No,
My voice is giving out on me.
No, you're fine. Go to mute and sip on your wine if you want to continue to listen, or if you want to get off. Doesn't matter.
Don't have these good people thinking that I'm be up and
you say tea?
Wine like this. Yes, it's tea tonight.
Tea wine. Okay, cool. So go to mute. I can go to mute. I got it from here. You're fine.
You guys.
All right, beloved.
Have a good night.
All right, beloved. Currency appreciation pressures, folks. Increased, and what this is important because this is currency appreciation pressure, folks. This is the pressure. See, the analytics, the data, the economic mechanisms that provides the pressure on the currency to move up. But where does this pressure come from? Pressure comes from investors through supply and demand, comes through trade and tariff negotiations, more trade on the water with new numbers, new data, new rates between countries. It's like 20% for Vietnam. You'll have 40 something percent for another country. All this is, these are the analytics. This is the data that supports the pressure on currency. For daily forex alone, let's put to the side tariffs. Let's put that to the side trade. Let's put all that to the side. When it comes to forex alone, the data, the analytics that puts pressure on the currency to fluctuate every day, but you don't see it because you're not paying attention to it. You just, if you go and you exchange your currency and going in and out of the country, the supply and demand comes from data analytics behind the scenes. So here we have currency appreciation pressure, increased demand for Vietnamese equities would require foreign investors to purchase dong to invest in the market. What market? The Vietnamese stock market, the Vietnamese market, driving up demand for the dong. This could lead, Goldilocks is sharing, this could lead to appreciation, meaning, folks, the raising of the value of the dong against major currencies like the US dollar, assuming the Central Bank of Vietnam allows market-driven exchange rate adjustments. What's market-driven? Exchange rates adjustments, meaning that the Central Bank of Vietnam relinquishes a level of control of the rate so that the market, you know, where the analytics and the market, where the financial mechanisms come from, you know, where supply and demand comes from to put pressure on the rate, that comes from the market driving the exchange rate, not someone sitting behind a curtain at a table who's sitting up in some high level place that says, this is the rate. The rate is $22. The rate is $13. The rate is this, the rate is that. Where's the data analytics to support that? Doesn't exist. It's just poppycock. It's just numbers to get you to click. Clickbait. Real numbers. You want to know the rate of the currency? Many of the folks that have relationships with these wealth managers have already stated they're going to contact the folks immediately. They know what's going on behind the scenes. Now, we're going to jump into countering factors. Number two, improved market perception and investor confidence. Reclassification, meaning Vietnam, considering if they're reclassification to an emerging market, signals improved market accessibility. Remember, when President Trump announced the trade agreement with Vietnam on Truth Social, he put it in all caps that we have negotiated for the U.S. to have full, all caps, full market access to Vietnam's economy. Now that is different. That's another part of market access, because that's talking about trade on the water. Folks, the reclassification of Vietnam's stock market that would come from the FTSE Russell, those stocks are connected to trade, to the exports and imports coming in and out of Vietnam. But this is more financial instruments and trade connected to Vietnam. The market economy upgrade, if and when the U.S. decides to do it, that is strictly through trade on the water. So you should be able to see multiple opportunities for the Vietnamese dong to increase in value. FTSE Russell, if the United States recognizes them as a market economy, the MSCI, which is Morgan Stanley. But this is why Goldilocks has stated to expect a float. And this is why Wiley has stressed strongly to have an exit strategy. All right. So, number 2, improve market perception and investor confidence impact on the Vietnamese dong. Reclassification to an emerging market signals improve market accessibility, liquidity, and regulatory frameworks, enhancing Vietnam's appeal to global investors. This could boost overall investor confidence in Vietnam's economy, supporting the dong's value. All right. Now, we're going to jump to conclusion. There's a conclusion here. The FTSE Russell reclassification decision on October the 7th could significantly impact the dong's valuation. An upgrade to secondary emerging market status would likely lead to increased capital inflows, boosting demand for the dong and potentially causing appreciation in the short term. Wink, wink, floats, floats. Though the State Bank of Vietnam, which is the central bank, their interventions may temper this. Folks, the Central Bank of Vietnam will, to a moderate degree, manage the float of the dong when it happens, so that it's not a shock to their economy and to the system of the global financial system. Because, folks, if there was a flip of the switch for any country, for all countries at the same time, that's not even possible. All these countries and these currencies are connected to the central banks of each. For example, the Central Bank of Iraq, the Iraqi Dinar, the Central Bank of Vietnam, the Vietnamese dong, and all these other currencies and their central banks. All these central banks are sovereign institutions, separate from each other. A flip of the switch, they all go at once? No. They're all connected to the international banking system. They all have their own regulations. They all have their own mechanisms. They all have their different trade agreements that they negotiated with the United States, which is the United States, the biggest economy in the world. There's never been a flip of the switch of any sort. It's not possible. They're all separate. All currencies, all central banks, all trade agreements, all separate. And they vary in where they're at in their regulations. These countries, that is, they all vary in where they're at with their trade negotiations with the U.S. They all vary in their negotiations with each other because they're all connected. So now, what Goldilocks is saying, failure to secure an upgrade could result in depreciation pressure on the Vietnamese dong. Long-term sustained reforms and potential Morgan Stanley inclusion could stabilize and strengthen the Vietnamese dong. But folks, speaking of data and analytics, the data and the analytics show that Vietnam is very, very, it's very likely that they will be reclassified. We will know for certain on October the 7th. The FTSE Russell gives their official announcement. What they will do is they will have a whole month of review in September on Vietnam, all of their economic reforms that they've recently made are going to come into play. The analytics and the data of their market will come into play. So when the official announcement is made, they will have the data to support and back it up. Because they will have to justify at what rate begins to move as the supply and demand of the dong begins to move. Now, this is where next about the U.S. and the market economy, which is second and also very important, and also second, not second as in behind, but also is in addition to an opportunity for the dong to go up in value. Vietnam's push for recognition as a market economy and this removal from the U.S. Department of Commerce D1 and D3 chemical biological controls, strategic export controls. Folks, this will indirectly affect the exchange rate of the Vietnamese dong. Goldilocks is stating that, however, the impact will depend on several economic, policy, and market factors. These are factors that play into the value of the rate. There are several influences that will determine how the fluctuation of the dong goes, and plus or minus what the rates will move at. Number one, Goldilocks is sharing recognition as a market economy officially by the U.S. Remember, this is separate from the FTSE Russell reclassifying their stock market to emerging market. See, you see this key word keeps coming up: market, market, market. Why? Because it is the global markets through supply and demand of that currency that determines the value of that currency, not some powerful ghost that has codes or who would just arbitrarily say, poof, this is the rate. Folks, it doesn't work like that in anywhere in the world when it comes to mathematics or the market. Vietnam's non-market economy status under U.S. trade rules results in higher dumping duties. Folks, these are restrictions whereby Vietnam has had restrictions on their exports and imports. So recognition as a market economy would likely reduce these duties restrictions, making Vietnamese goods more competitive in the U.S. market. This could affect exchange rates in the following ways: increase export demand, supply and demand. So increased demand for Vietnam's products. So an increased demand for Vietnam's products in the U.S. So U.S. manufacturers, U.S. would be able to have access to more of those goods. The value of the dong will be affected. Increased demand in their economy. That puts more pressure, upward pressure on the value of the Vietnamese dong through supply and demand. Foreign direct investment inflows, meaning into Vietnam, market economy status could enhance Vietnam's attractiveness as foreign direct investment, folks, in the language of Dinar land. I hate to use this language, but it's language that many folks understand. Whales, dolphins that have access to an enormous amount of money, they will invest in Vietnam's economy. That puts upward pressure on the Vietnamese dong because the demand for it goes up. Why does the demand for it go up? Because as these foreign direct investors now have access, or as long as they get the recognition, reclassification, they'll have access to the Vietnamese economy. Meaning they'll be able to pump money into the economy. Why? Because they know they'll get a return on their investment. Because Vietnam is growing exponentially. The trade agreement with the U.S. and other countries will put pressure on the Vietnamese dong. The FTSE Russell, if they're reclassified as an emerging market, would put upward pressure on the Vietnamese dong. So all of these transactions in Vietnam, billions and billions of dollars, will have to be transacted in what? The Vietnamese dong. It wasn't there before because they didn't have the reclassifications. If the reclassifications come, or from the FTSE Russell, or the market upgrade comes from the US, the Vietnamese dong can no longer stay the same rate. Now, Vietnam, in order to be removed from this restriction level that the US put on them, there were certain reforms and changes that they had to make since they were declined the upgrade by the US for the market economy since last year. Vietnam has made those changes. They've made those reforms. So now we are going to jump into Iraq. Now, just recently, as of August the 19th, Iraq, and it's amazing because Iraq has been making, Vietnam, all these other countries are making tremendous progress and changes to their economy and reforms, showing that it is very obvious that they are preparing for the value of the Iraqi dinar to move up. There are certain things that reforms specifically that they had to implement. This is just another one. This announcement that Iraq made, which was a 14-day term to implement Treasury notes. This was on August the 19th. What they did, it was a 14-day window where Iraq allowed the access, the CBI specifically, to have access to their treasury bills. Now let's go to auction details. The CBI has opened a tender for treasury bills with a 14-day maturity as published in the Central Securities Depository System. Traditional conventional banks are eligible, meaning these are Iraqi banks that have access or eligible to participate, and they can submit bids from the announcement date until the implementation of August the 19th. This was a 14-day window that banks could rush to purchase treasury bills that were backed by the Iraqi dinar. Folks, treasury bills are financial instruments that are backed on the full faith and credit of a government. For them to open this up, to get access to these treasury bills backed by the dinar, that means that they have full faith and confidence that these treasury bills, for those that may not know what treasury bills are, and I hate to even say this, but it's the reality because I know people are going to get confused and triggered, but treasury bills are like treasury bonds. Folks, any bonds that are on the full faith and confidence of a government, they have a maturity date. Meaning that there is a date of which that financial instrument can be called upon. So, for example, if wherever town or locale you live in, city, village, town, whatever municipality, state, federal government, whatever municipality. If your village, if your town, wherever you live, your city, if they want to pay for, let's say, new roads in your town, because you got a bunch of potholes or something, pothole city. What they will do, the city, your municipality, they will float a bond that is on the full faith and credit of your government, your local government. But you as a taxpayer, you're paying for it. How do you pay for it? They may up 1%, 2%, whatever it may be for taxes. That goes on your utility bill, goes on your water bill, whatever. Not you, unless if the utilities from the town. But wherever you pay your taxes, you're going to pay a little bit more. And and so let's say, now let's talk numbers. You got 30,000 people live in your town, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, a million, whatever. That 1%, 0.5% adds up amongst all y'all folks living in that town. But what your municipality will do is float a bond with the maturity date, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, let's say a 20-year maturity date. Your town knows that there's a percentage of every year an increase in inflation that ultimately 20 years from now, the cost for those roads that they took forever to pave anyway, it's paid for by that bond with the maturity date 20 years out. What is the maturity date of any of these so-called bonds that you paid for on eBay? Go and look at it. Flip it up and around and down, up and down and side to side. You're not going to see a maturity date. You're not going to see one because only a real bond, a real treasury note has a maturity date because the government from which that financial instrument called a bond or treasury bill is on has to have a maturity date. It can't be into infinity. It doesn't work that way in the financial world where you have a bond that has no maturity date because that government has to guarantee that amount on that note. How? They do it by upping your taxes to pay for whatever improvements need to be made in your town. Whatever improvements need to be made, roads, bridges, traffic lights, water improvement, whatever it is. That's why your government, that's how the improvements are made, paid for by floating a bond. I only know this because I was in that profession in the finance world to where we floated bonds to pay for improvements for cities and states across the country. It's just known in the finance industry. So for those of you who believe you have a real bond, look and see there is no maturity date. Those are only purchased. Those are only floated through the actual sources of a government. What you purchased was not actual and factual. So what Iraq has done, a 14-day maturity for treasury bills, is basically 14 days to pump money into real financial instruments called treasury bills backed by the Iraqi government and Iraqi Dinar. What this goes to show is they have, just like a government that floats a bond to pay for improvements in your town, they have all the faith in the world. Let's say, for example, it might cost $500,000 to fix the roads in your town. You take 1% times 40, 50,000 people in your town times 20 years. They will pay for that $500,000 improvement up front with plenty left over. because they provide a guarantee to back the amount that it's going to cost to pay for your improvements. Iraq did this with this particular open invitation for banks to buy Treasury bills. So, folks, when you hear anything related to Treasury bills, bonds for any country, like Vietnam did the same thing with their bonds just last week. A person off the street can't go pay for those bonds, can go invest in those bonds. You have to be a regulated institution. Now, someone will go on the internet and say, well, Freedom Fighter, it says that you can go and buy a bond. You can buy collectibles. You can buy savings bonds. But real bonds have a maturity date. Just like you see, this is real what Iraq is doing, because they know that they will be able to pay to support the raising of funds on these treasury bills backed by the Iraqi dinar. That is confidence in the dinar. Just like a town or city is confident they'll be able to pay for your roads and your traffic lights, whatever, all the improvements, because they know they're just going to raise your taxes and pay for it. It's guaranteed money. Folks, if you don't have a maturity date on anything that you purchase off of the internet, because it's not guaranteed by nobody. It's not even guaranteed by Charmin or Cottonelle. Now one of them. All right, beautiful folks. Kiki, May, Mama, and Alice, are you here? Peculiar Ram, I think you are off. You went and had your... Oh, Peculiar Ram, you still here. If y'all can unmute, we're going to take us home. I think I see Wiley is not here. Peculiar Ram, if you're able... Okay, see Alice.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. All right, young lady. I just wanted to thank you so much, Peculiar Ram, for coming on. I know you're tired, but I wanted to
Very well.
jump in and let you go ahead and relax a little bit. Alice, you can unmute, beloved. Go ahead. All right. Alice, you there?
I am. Yes, sir.
All right. And what's your take on what you just heard? Anything that you just heard? Vietnam, Iraq, crypto. Oh, I know you into all this because you done had these conversations with your wealth manager about some of this stuff.
Yeah. Yes, we're fortunate enough to be invested in a little bit of everything, and the million moving parts just become clearer and clearer every day, every week. Yeah. And it's just absolutely fascinating, particularly how Iraq and Vietnam are literally mirroring each other.
Exactly. Lockstep and key.
They're literally mirroring each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's really, really interesting to understand how the float is going to work with it's almost like they get upgrades and then upgrades and then upgrades. And that's how the float is going to work. As they progress, the float is going to work as well. Yeah.
Yes. I love how you use that analogy, these upgrades, because it's like a step ladder.
Correct. Yes.
Each upgrade is one step up the ladder, which means you're stepping up, the rates step up. So as you have exit strategies, you know, okay, I'm gonna get off this step, I'm gonna come back, but I'm gonna get back on step number 2. Then when the rate goes up again. See, and this is why. And Peculiar Ram, you mentioned last week about, and I don't want to go too long because I know you're tired.
No, you're good.
You mentioned last week about it being said out there, about folks only being able to exchange once.
Yes.
They won't be able to double dip and all that. See, if folks understood, you'll be able to exchange as much as you want for as much currency as you have. If you exchange some now, hold some, keep it back, You on step number one, Alice. You exchange. You say, okay, I'm exchange right here, but you kept some currency behind. Then okay, another upgrade, a reclassification hits a couple months from now. Boom, you're like, okay, I'm going to step number 4 now. That rate done went up again. I'm gonna take this currency that I got in my shoebox or the safe, and I'm going to exchange some, whatever it may be. That's how it works, folks. There's no, you only get one shot. See what that is, and I thought about this during the week. To give people the impression that you only have one chance to exchange means that they want people to rush to the bank and exchange all what they got. This is how the banks make more profit. How? Let me use this example. Alice, if you go and exchange, let's just say you exchange. I'm just use this as an example to paint this picture. And I'm glad Alice and Peculiar Ram are here because they sharp. Alice, if you exchange at $1 and these rates are going to float, and you exchange 5 million and you exchange at $1, math tells you that's what, 5 million?
Yes, sir.
And you exchange that $1, but these currencies with these rates are going to float. Now, Peculiar Ram decided she was going to exchange some and hold some back. And as these floats begin to occur, Peculiar Ram goes behind you, Alice, and goes to the bank. But now she goes in, and the rate is now $1.50. But the bank exchanges her at $1.50. She makes more, of course. But now, what if Peculiar Ram says she's going to buy some more Dawn? She's going to buy it at $1.50. But the bank exchanged you at $1, but they sold it to her at $1.50. How much did they make? 50 cents, right?
Correct.
That's 50 cents on just $1. What if she went in there with 10 million? What if she bought 5 million? So the bank just made 50 cent profit times 5 million. So now times her times millions of people that all of a sudden hear, oh, these rates are going up. They're going to go and buy the currency because they want to get in. It's called FOMO, fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
They see the rates going up. They're going to hurry up and buy currency so they can go and exchange it. So they just bought it at a higher rate. So because you were smart, Alice, you held some back.
And my previous exchange is already working, making more money for me already.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But the bank would love for you, Peculiar Ram, and everyone else to rush in and purchase and exchange all of what you got at one pop, because they know after you, millions and millions of people, you go and all exchange currency all at one time because you were told you can't double dip, pay the chip. The bank like, oh, we got all these fools that exchange all their currency at $1, and all these people going. Then all these banks, they got. It's going to be on every media outlet, social media about the rates going up. People going to flock to buy currency, but they're not going to buy it at $1. What you exchange it at, Alice. They're going to buy it up what the current value rate is. $1.50, $2, whatever it may be. The bank just made all that profit. And then it's going to keep floating up. And more people are going to buy more later. And the bank like, yeah, come on, thank you.
Lottery syndrome.
Lottery syndrome. It's no different, folks. It's no different. Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to use an example. Watch this. If someone buys a home, they finance a home, the bank owns that property, not you, until you fully pay it off and you have the deed in your hand. So let's say, for example, let's say Peculiar Ram, you're the bank. You're the bank. Alice, you're going to be the customer. Alice, you're going to buy a home. You're going to buy a home, and Peculiar Ram is going to provide the financing for it. Peculiar Ram Bank. Now, Alice, you financed this home from Peculiar Ram's bank. You paid $300,000 for this house.
10-4.
Now, 10-4. Kiki, come on, please. If you can unmute.
Yes.
All right. Now, Kiki, if you can unmute. Are you there? Are you there? No, if you can't, May Mama, are you still here? Oh, yeah, May Mama, unmute, please. Yeah, get you in with Alice. All right. Now, Alice bought this home for $300,000, financed by Peculiar Ram Bank. $300,000. Follow me, folks. Follow me. This is how you're going to see how people are being fooled to rush to the banks with their currency, thinking they're going to be trillionaires and billionaires. I heard them go and change your currency because you can't double dip with sour cream, onion. You can't double dip with Dorito flavor. You can't double dip. That's what the gurus tell you. This is how I'm going to expose this damn lie. So,
period.
You bought this house for $300,000. You bought this house for $300,000, Alice. Now, 5 years later, the market is booming. You bought it for $300,000. You sold it for $400,000. You made $100,000 profit, right?
Yes, sir.
Peculiar Ram Bank, they already got their money. They already got their $300,000 up front and the $400,000 when you sold it. So now Kiki, I'm sorry, not Kiki, May Mama. May Mama comes in, you come in. Alice, she put that house on the market and you bought it. You go to Peculiar Ram Bank, and Peculiar Ram Bank sells it to you for $500,000. Didn't Peculiar Ram Bank make money off of Alice? And when you bought it?
And then
Absolutely.
And now let's get another person. Let's get another person to come in. And now, May Mama, you decided in a few years you want to sell that house. And Peculiar Ram Bank is the lender. They're going to make money again.
That's right.
That's why it's called a note. When you obtain a loan, you obtain a note. When you purchase currency, foreign currency, it is called a what? A note. Because it is a financial instrument that can be bought and sold into infinity. So peculiar, it's a promissory note. Promise to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean you go to the bank and they only promise to pay you one time when you exchange your currency? Folks, you must think what you've been fed is nothing but sugar, honey, iced tea when it comes to your currency. Only exchange it once? No. This is why people are being tricked.
Yeah.
To rush to the banks and exchange once because they're told they're going to be billionaires and trillionaires. So I could just go exchange just one time. I'm going to go and redeem my Cottonelle bonds just this one time so I could be a billionaire. That's all I need. I just need just one time. I'm going to be a billionaire. because I can't double dip because the guru said so. Come on, folks. This is why, folks, you are blessed to have an exit strategy, to have these relationships that you will be able to exchange multiple times with a strategy. And just like Alice, you made a great point, beloved. You're going to be making money off of because of you having your relationships with your wealth advisors. You go in exchange, you're going to flip and double dip your money all over again from the time you exchange.
We're going to get busy.
You're going to get busy. Man, mama, does this make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Peculiar Ram, you got me started because I thought about this last week when you brought up this and these fools telling folks that there's no double dipping. That's folks, I'm telling you, you're being set up, folks.
Yeah, and these people aren't even. They don't even have the knowledge themselves, so they can't even expound on the fact that the dong is going to float. A lot of the followers don't even know about it floating. They just think it's coming out at this fixed rate. So that's the reason why they're running to the banks as soon as it happens, because they're thinking in their mind nothing's going to change from now to then. They don't know about Vietnam coming from frontier to emerging. They don't understand how the process and the upgrades is going to allow it to float even more. They have no clue. They're thinking it's going to come out at $4.17, and they're going to when it hits, they're going to run to the banks in droves. And yes, the banks are going to take their money.
Yeah, quick.
And they're going to be upset because it's not going to be $4.17. They're going to be up for a rude awakening that day.
The game is buy low, sell high. So the banks will gladly exchange your currency at whatever rate you want to run in there with at the beginning of the float. That's called buy low. They'll buy it low and they're going to sell it high. Just like buying a piece of property low and selling it high. It's capitalism. It's commerce. That's the way business is done.
And we all bought it so low.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And now in confirmation, folks, listening to this, Alice, Peculiar Ram, and several others have had direct conversations with their wealth managers related to these currencies. Have they not? Have you guys not?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And folks listening to the guru daddies and got no facts, nothing, y'all have your own relationships. Like Wiley says, y'all don't need us moving forward. Yeah, y'all got your own relationships. Y'all be handed off to, and you run off to the races. All right, beautiful folks, this is longer than I expected, but it's Peculiar Ram's fault from last week when she mentioned that. But thank you.
I just want to mention real quick that this is the closest thing. If anybody is looking and searching and I'm looking for a timeline of when is it going to RV or anything, this is the closest. If you really listen to tonight's podcast, this is the closest that we will get, and you can clearly see there is a timeline as to when it will RV. It's not in the language that you're used to hearing.
Right.
If you've listened to the past couple of podcasts, you will see that there is a timeline.
It's a red carpet.
It really is.
It's folding out right in front of you.
Anxiety. Yeah, it should soothe your anxiety of knowing.
But yeah, see, you are able to see it because you're following, and also you're getting the confirmations. I mean, okay. Peculiar Ram and Alice, you both have two different wealth manager relationships, but you both don't realize that you both sent me charts and inside information from y'all individual wealth managers showing, discussing this stuff. I'll just say that. Peculiar Ram, have you shared stuff with me from your private wealth for that their data, analytics, the numbers? No, not numbers of rates, folks, but chart numbers, percentages.
Right. The outlook.
And Alice, The outlook. There you go. I like that. The outlook. And Alice has shared similar information. You shared similar type of information with me and communication, Alice, communication specifically as well, with your wealth manager. Have you not shared that with me?
Several times.
And these people out there following, unfortunately, paying for fake news and have nothing to show for it. Nothing. Folks, we must really pray for the folks who don't have access or are not aware of what you are aware of, because they're going to be very heartbroken in different ways. We just got to keep them in prayer. But congratulations to all of you. Thank you for all of your help on the call tonight, sharing your updates, sharing your stories. So powerful. Thank you, Alice, for being such a beautiful, amazing leader in the tribe, helping Maine Mama, your girl, as well. Thank you, Kiki. Everyone, did you guys want to share anything to get us out of here?
No.
No? Okay. Alice?
I'm just so proud of my friend.
Yes.
I love when she said she was so proud of herself. It reminded me when I gave my testimony. It's just such a beautiful feeling to have that self assurance, and it doesn't come from anybody or any outside source. It comes from within, and that's the power that nobody can take away from you moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm going to add on to that really quick too, Peculiar Ram, because you know how I feel about you, girl. It's the confidence that it's true. It's the confidence that we have all acquired from the education and the information and the studiousness and the tenacity and just showing up as many days as possible every week, listening to the stories. It's all of us, I feel like, or at least most of us, have just grown by leaps and bounds with this process. And I've always felt like I was a fairly confident person, but it is a completely different animal when you're dealing with the banking world and finances. And I just couldn't be more grateful. And we all say that all the time. We say it all the time, how grateful we are and how thankful we are. But it has literally become part of our DNA to be grateful for where we are.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So beautiful.
I agree.
It's true.
Thank you.
True.
Thank you all. So awesome. Everyone, have a good night. Sorry we went on a little longer than I expected, but I got long-winded. All right. Everyone have a good night. We love you all. Everyone, take care. Ciao, ciao. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.